At the very end of the last Nintendo Direct, a full remake of Ocarina of Time was announced. With all of the conversation happening around this remake, and Ocarina of Time being such a monumental title, I figured it was about time for another Zelda community discussion. So I've brought together a handful of talented content creators to discuss our hopes, dreams, apprehensions, and more about the remake for Ocarina of Time. Just a quick heads up, some spoilers come up for various Zelda titles, including, of course, the original Ocarina of Time and Echoes of Wisdom. But with all of that said, let's hop into it with a quick round of introductions. I'm Cap Bergerson, and I'll be hosting and moderating this discussion. HChat.
Hello. So I'm a Zelda Shorts creator, and I would just say my content is Zelda commentary, so anything and everything goes, and I'm an expert on nothing.
Hi, I'm Kokiri Theory, or y'all can call me KT. I'm a Zelda YouTuber who specializes in unhinged theories.
Hello, I am Swag Master. I make very similar content to HChat Nation, just slightly worse.
Hello, I'm Triforce Trends. I'm also a swag master, and I specialize in speculation content and whatever I can be bothered to do at the time.
Hello, I am Tyler Townsend. I too am a Zelda creator here on YouTube, and I do all kinds of things from reactions and reviews and speculations and maybe an occasional theory here or there.
So, just to start the discussion off without getting too into the weeds of it, I just want to establish kind of where everyone's at with that, whether you love it or hate it, and general thoughts, because for me, very mixed feelings, very cautiously optimistic kind of mixed feelings, but obviously there's extremes online on all ends, I think, and lots in between. So how are you feeling? General thoughts.
So I'm really excited about the Ocarina of Time remake. I'm definitely a little apprehensive because I think that if they try to do too much with it, that there are some things that could upset me and could upset the community if they try to reestablish too much lore or pigeonhole things into there. But overall, I mean, I'm very trusting that they're going to keep the core of the game the same, that they're not going to change too much. And so getting everything in modernized graphics, having a free cam is going to be really nice. Yeah, so I mean, just overall, I'm really excited, and I struggle to see how they really mess it up.
Yeah, I think I would say I also share the label of cautiously optimistic. I mean, I'm obviously always hyped for new Zelda stuff, but we've seen so little that it's hard to know which way it's going to go at this point. I will say an Ocarina remake has never really been my top priority as far as Zelda games go. It wasn't on top of my wish list, but now that I've seen it and now I've been thinking about it more, I'm starting to get a lot more excited about it.
It's funny you say that too, because my initial reaction watching the Direct was a bit of a knee jerk, but the more I've sat on it, the more as well I'm starting to kind of feel it a bit, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's funny what time will do.
I am overwhelmingly optimistic about the Ocarina of Time remake. I'm obviously, just like everyone else, I have apprehensions, but I've wanted a full 4K remake of Ocarina of Time for some time. And something I did recently is I ran a poll just on my YouTube channel just to see how many people have actually had the chance to beat Ocarina of Time in any version that it currently stands in. And at least within my audience, almost an entire third of them have not had the opportunity to beat Ocarina of Time. So I think it's really cool that we're going to have another version that a new generation of Zelda fans can fall in love with, just like we did when we were younger, just on an older version of the game. And so I think there's far more good that can come out of the remake than some of the negatives that might come along with it.
I think, me personally, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm more on the optimistic side, because I'd like a lot of changes in, I think specifically Hyrule Field, but not a lot. I don't want there to be too much to do in Hyrule Field, make it feel like Breath of the Wild or anything. But I think, again, the whole argument about having Ocarina of Time be more accessible to people nowadays, I think that's a huge one, and giving it a free cam and stuff like that. One of the reasons why I'm more optimistic is more because it's Ocarina of Time, and I think Nintendo know how big of a game it is, so I'm hoping that they've actually done a good job, and I think they know that they need to do a good job. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the theme here. I would say I'm more on the optimistic side. I do have some slight reservations about how the characters are going to necessarily look, if they're going to cross into the uncanny valley kind of way of things. But I would say overall, I'm extremely, extremely excited for this, because a realistic Zelda has been something I've dreamed of forever. So the fact that we're finally getting something in this vein is really exciting for me, and I can't wait to see more on it.
Right on. So most mostly positive feelings around the table. Unfortunately, Nehru, our good friend Nehru, wasn't able to make it today, though I know when I put feelers out there, he actually said mostly negative. It's too bad that I can't hear him argue with you, Tyler, but...
Always a contrarian.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, he is the contrarian. Nehru, watching this in the future, we see you. So generally positive with some, maybe some like asterisks. Obviously, we haven't seen very much. We've got like 5 seconds of actual game footage and a tapestry with some narration. But what we have seen of the art direction, which Tyler already alluded to a bit, is this the kind of art direction that we like or that we want to see, for the series or going forward or just for even the game? Like, how are you feeling about that aspect of it specifically?
I'd like to jump in just to preface some potential comments that we might get, because I have seen some people talk about, oh, we don't think that that's the actual art style, or we think this is promotional or anything like that. So they would have had to have put a disclaimer on the trailer if that wasn't footage taken from the actual game. So this is what we saw in the teaser is exactly what the game is going to look like.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, because I actually had this argument with someone in my comments already. Someone said to me, they probably haven't even decided on an art direction. And I was like, the game comes out in less than 6 months. The game comes out this year. We are already halfway through June.
I just want to hop in and piggyback off of what HChat was saying, because I did some additional research on that, because that's something that HChat and I have actually talked about before. Mm-hmm. And there's a little bit of nuance to that. So kind of how the law works surrounding that, at least in the United States, is that if it is rendered outside of the game engine, not putting a disclaimer on it opens you up for legal action for false advertising. So this may not be something that's actually going to appear in the game, kind of like we saw with the initial Breath of the Wild announcement or the initial Tears of the Kingdom announcement, but it almost certainly is rendered within the actual engine of the game using a Switch 2.
On that note, to kind of piggyback, with Nintendo specifically, one thing I really appreciate about their game announcements in general is that they do tend to not just have CG trailers that, like, even, you think to Metroid Prime 4's first discounting the title screen splash in 2017, and that was the whole thing. When they actually were ready to give you a trailer, it was like a very short bit of cutscene and then gameplay. We've seen with Star Fox, it's like cutscenes and gameplay. They're very good about actually showing how the game will look. And I think even in terms of art direction, even if this was a cutscene, Zelda cutscenes are often still rendered in engine and still, not like pre-rendered cutscenes for the most part anyways. Even if people are saying like, this is a cutscene, it's not how the game will look, that feels like a moot point to me, because it's like, well, even if it's a cutscene, that is still at least a rough approximation of how the game will look.
Personally speaking, I think I might need to see a little bit more before I have a real opinion on it. I think Link looks fine. It makes sense. Especially even if you look at Ocarina of Time 3D as well. I think it's just a better version of that, but obviously more particle effects next to his bed, stuff like that. But I feel like I need to see more stuff like the Deku Tree, things like that are a bit more mystical. I think that'll be interesting to see. That's where I'm at with the art style. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm sort of also holding judgment for now on Link's total look. Like, to me, again, it looks okay, but until I see him front on, I think seeing his eyes open is going to be really important. The full outfit assembled, I think that will be important to see. Until I see all that, I feel like I can't really form an opinion on character design, but like you said, Ed, I think there's a lot of potential for the environmental visuals. Like, I think we were already getting like a very moody vibe just from the very little that we could see, and I think that's where this kind of aesthetic could really shine. Like, I want to see, the totally bustling castle town, and areas like Zora's Domain, Kokiri Forest are probably going to be really pretty as well. Like, I think there's a lot that this super detailed art form could lend to this world, which is already really obviously iconic, but to give it that extra vibrance and detail will be really cool.
Trends will definitely back me up on this when I say that part of the reason why a lot of us love Twilight Princess so much is because of the atmosphere of the game. Mm-hmm. This realistic art style, they're going to be able to achieve a, not necessarily gritty, because Ocarina of Time is still very high fantasy, I would say. It's very colorful, it's very bright. Yeah. But there is so many aspects of Ocarina of Time that lean into really, really dark directions. And I feel like having this realistic art style is going to open them up to create such amazing set pieces and build a better atmosphere to replicate the original intent for what they wanted out of this game.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like people have said, like, this is the way I imagined it in my head when I was a kid playing it. And so I feel like that's being tested in a really cool way. One thing I do want to talk about though is like the use of the word realistic in this conversation, because a lot of people are saying like it's hyper realistic, and I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like I think there's realistic textures, but like I'm sure it will still be pretty stylized. Like I can't imagine how they'd pull off some of different species and character designs without that level of stylization.
For sure.
I think it's kind of like a broad generalization, because as far as the Zelda series goes, this is like obviously our most quote unquote realistic version of it, but it's still stylized in the same sense of something like a Final Fantasy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It has that kind of anime-ish like direction to it, at least from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I mean that can kind of apply backwards to previous games too, like Twilight Princess was your example earlier, which is a lovely game. I can say that without Nehru here. And
this is a safe space.
So many people say that is like the quote-unquote realistic Zelda, but it is still stylized, and the character designs are like super wacky at times. There's still a level of stylism that it leans into. I actually kind of feel like KT, you said, I need to see his eyes open to say for sure, but what I've seen so far as I keep like looking at this image of him sleeping and like cranking the contrast and things like that, I keep thinking almost more like Hyrule Warriors / Definitive Edition, how it sort of took that sort of fantastical high fantasy art style, but it's still for, the Wii U was kind of like leaning into that stylized realism. And I think if it looks sort of like that, but with more modern technology, I think that could be a nice sweet spot. I just need to see more. I desperately need to see more.
I would just add. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Swag. No.
You go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, I'll take
You guys are acting awfully British.
Oh, I was going to say awfully Canadian, but
do not ever insult me like that.
That too.
No, I was just going to say something that I'm keeping my eyes peeled for is the actual like ESRB rating of the game whenever that finally rolls around.
Yes.
Because whatever the European version of that is, maybe having someone who's British here is not such a bad thing, and they can give some more insight into this. The European version of it has already rated it at 12 years old and older. And so I'm interested to see if the ESRB rating leans from E10 or more to T. And I think that that's going to give us a pretty good indication of what kind of tone they're shooting for overall. I hope that they're leaning towards the teen rating, because that means that they're going to censor less of the, I guess, horror aspects that the original leaned into with the Shadow Temple, the bottom of the well, and all those creepy little locations.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm hoping for kind of a T rating. I know the 3DS version is probably going to come up a lot today, but one thing I don't like about the 3DS version is how sanitized a lot of the art direction feels compared to the original. Dead Hand just looks not scary the way he did back on the N64. The Ganon fight is like extremely bright in a way that diminishes the vibe. And so I think the 3DS version is a perfectly valid way to play the game. I know I talk a lot of smack about it on my channel, but it's hyperbolized for funnies. I think it's a perfectly valid way to do it, but there are aspects of it like that I feel like they kind of miss the mark. Each version of it, I should say, has like a leg up on the other in some ways. So I'm hoping that this kind of takes the best of both in that way, where we have that sort of some of those scary moments back, but also have the benefits of things like the UI improvements that the 3DS brought. So here's hoping. But yeah,
I understand there's a lot of hesitation with this art style because we've grown very used to hyper stylized Zelda. And so I would say if you are on the more negative side reacting to this, just kind of keep in mind that this is the one and only shot we have of this game at the moment. Don't necessarily form a diehard opinion off of this. Obviously once we see more of the game and if it's not living up to your expectations, that's one thing. But I think to judge the entirety of this remake off of this one little teaser that we have would be a little disingenuous at the current time.
Totally. There's only so much we can talk about the visuals because we barely saw any of the game. How faithful of a remake do we actually want this to be? Should it be as one-to-one as the 3DS? Should it be like complete overhaul, complete 100% reimagining with new everything, somewhere in between? What would you want to see changed? What would you want to see kept the same?
So I have kind of a descending list of things that I wanted adjusted when I had only played the N64 version of Ocarina of Time. Number one, I really have a hard time with low poly graphics, and so I wanted that fixed. And then I had a really hard time with the controls and some of the UI decisions, and I wanted that fixed. Both of those things were addressed. in the Ocarina of Time 3D remaster. I don't know what we're calling it at this point. I think that both of those were addressed very well. And so the third thing on my list of things where I was like, hey, maybe this wasn't that good and the N64 was limiting it, I really, really want an overhaul on the combat system. I don't know if that's a shared opinion. I haven't talked to anyone who said the same thing, but I don't love the sit and wait for opening and then use the one attack that you have kind of combat system that Ocarina of Time originally used. I don't think it's horrible. I think it's serviceable, but I really want something more intricate along the lines of what we got in Twilight Princess as a combat system.
I mean, that's fair. More depth to the combat is fair. I think, in release order, you can see how they kept building on things, because like if you jump from A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening and then into Ocarina of Time's combat, this was like, holy shit-noli, this is incredible, like how much more you can do here. But then, games keep building and iterating on it. Obviously, Wind Waker added the parries, Twilight Princess has the techniques, the sword techniques. And so, yeah, I can definitely see how like then you go back to it and it's like, oh, I can't parry, I can't do this. So in hindsight, might feel a little shallow. I think that's fair.
Obviously, the N64 combat was revolutionary at the time, and they created a system that allowed for dozens, if not hundreds, of other games to build off of. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to discount that at all. I don't really want the more loosey-goosey combat that we see in like the Wild era. Like I said, I think Twilight Princess is a pretty good sweet spot, and I'd love to see a combat system more akin to that in the game. So I hope that as they're remaking things, that they address that at least a little bit. That's my number one hope.
For sure.
To piggyback off that idea, it'd be really cool lore-wise to see the Hero of Time learning those techniques so that he can later pass those on to the Hero of Twilight.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Hold up, that's cool.
That would be really cool.
Okay, but do we really trust Nintendo to do something that cool with the lore?
Listen.
No, of course not. We can dream, though. We can dream.
Right. That's our job here. This kind of goes with my whole sentiment about the game and where most of my apprehension for this game lies is I do, for the most part, want this to stay faithful to the original. And so I think the combat system in there would be included, where I don't want them to mess that up too much. It was revolutionary, and I think that we have learned a lot. And I think that there are areas where, like, yeah, you could change it up. But I think that Ocarina of Time is also still today the highest rated game ever. What's it, Metascore or whoever tracks that kind of stuff? It's still there for a reason. And there's been plenty of combat games afterwards that have come. So just in general, I really don't want them to muck anything up. And like, if we get where we can just climb any wall, or they add little collectibles across Hyrule Field, and there's all this Breath of the Wildification. There's many other people, I'm just stealing that term, but if they do that to the game, then I'm gonna feel pretty let down.
Yeah, especially you mentioned the wall climbing, and I'm just thinking about all of the dungeons that would the level design would just completely fall apart under the weight of being able to scale walls. Like, oh, you don't need to do this cool push block labyrinth puzzle in the Forest Temple, you just scale the wall and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, you can let speedrunners break the game. Like, they'll figure all that stuff out anyways. For us normies, like, the dungeons are so good. It's one of the core defining features of this game. I would hate to see something like that get trampled upon because they wanted to open world it.
I feel like if they were going to do that, it would fundamentally change Ocarina way too much, because like you guys were saying about, scaling walls and completely bypassing game design in the temples, it would almost mean that you would have to create a game that's not Ocarina of Time. Like, you would have to completely rework all of those temples to where the mechanics would have to reflect the new gameplay designs that were introduced in the Era of the Wild. So I hope that there is a lot of modernization. Ocarina of Time is classic, it's timeless, but there is still aspects of it that have kind of aged like milk. So I think there is plenty of room and opportunity for it to be modernized, and combat especially is one of those. But I don't see any way that they would rather make this game big and open like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, because it would just fundamentally change way too much about how Ocarina of Time plays. And then if they're changing that much, it's not Ocarina of Time anymore.
Yeah.
Tyler, not to put you on the spot, but what are some of those things that you feel like have aged like milk?
Well, a lot of it is like maybe like textures and stuff like that, or having a locked camera in Castletown, or just kind of like smaller nitpicky stuff.
Sure. I have to admit, I haven't played the 3DS version. When you walk into Castletown after coming across the gate, is that still that like top view, like
believe
2D
so, yeah.
perspective?
Yeah, they still keep the fixed camera in all the same places in the 3DS version. They don't have pre-rendered backgrounds the same way that the N64 did, because that was kind of a technical cheat to make those visuals kind of a little nicer than they are elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah, that is one thing that I hope they do. I hope we get back to third person, like walking into Castletown.
For sure.
I think that'd be cool.
I agree. Or even you could toggle it or something, because there are a lot of environments I'd love to like look around in more. Like you can't really get a good look around in Link's house. For example, the camera plants in the middle or will toggle to overhead. And I can see why they did that in the original. There are textures in there that are so smeary.
It's hard to tell like what you're looking at.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's a dirt wall, I think, for sure.
Don't change the little shark guy. He has to stay the same.
The shark has to be there.
Yeah.
Yes. He has to be
Let
there.
him be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just give me JPEG Shark, please.
What if
It needs to be the exact same file. Everything is remade except for the shark.
Yes, exactly.
He's
Just that.
perfect
And
the
the
way he
bars.
is.
And the bars.
that's
Doesn't the shark have a name? Like, hasn't the community dubbed him like Jerry or something?
oh,
No, I don't know.
Kevin?
Can we just name him right now?
Kevin's a girl?
We could definitely just set the standard now and make a name for him.
Eugene.
His
Do-
name's Kevin.
There's an interesting thing that I've seen debated in a lot of comment sections where people talk about the faithfulness of the remake and how it should or shouldn't be. Of course, I'm painting in broad strokes, but two major camps I've seen sort of emerge are people who are like, oh, if what's the point of a remake if it's just the same game again? Like, if you're going to remake it, you should change things. And then there's other people who are like, what's the point of a remake if you're just going to change it? You should just make a new game then. I guess I'm curious where kind of people fall on that spectrum, or if those accurately describe your stance, or something else you would say is a more accurate description.
Yeah, I would say I'm not a purist of the old game. Like, I don't need to see it remade exactly the same. I do think they're probably going to stick pretty closely to, the core story and gameplay. I mean, the story is perfect, don't touch that. But what I think will make it more of a remake for me is expanding it and making it bigger. Like, there's room in the world to include a more fleshed out Hyrule Field and Castletown and maybe more side quests, that kind of thing. Maybe new locations. Like, I think there's room in the game to expand it without changing it necessarily. Like, I think the core pieces, the like keystone elements of the game can stay the same, but then like build it out, flesh it out a little bit more.
Basically, I don't want it to be too similar, but I don't want it to go too different. Basically, don't touch the dungeons or even the lead ups to the dungeons, because I think all of those are great. I would like to see Hyrule Field changed a little bit, but not Breath of the Wild-ish, and don't add wall climbing, none of that. Even if some of the Skulltulas were moved into Hyrule Field, a few more of them, and then maybe the grottos have a bit more of a use. Little bits like that, but overall, I'm somewhere in the middle where I don't want it to feel too new so that it's not Ocarina of Time anymore, it's a new game, but I also don't want it to just be Ocarina of Time again. But then at the same time, of the two options, I'd rather it be more like Ocarina of Time so that people just have access to it more readily.
I think the more that I think about this, I surprise myself in how much of a purist I think I am when I think about it. And the reason I think it kind of surprises me is like I'm old enough to have had the opportunity to grow up with the game, but I didn't play it when I was younger. I came back to it later. But it's interesting, Swag brought up his really big poll earlier, and the number of people who had not played Ocarina of Time or hadn't beaten it. And maybe as shorts creators, we might have a younger skewing audience, but it is really surprising how many people in the fandom haven't played Breath of the Wild, and maybe they got introduced to it with Breath of the Wild, and so they haven't gone back to Ocarina of Time or some of the older games, or just haven't had the opportunity to. Maybe they don't have the expansion pass for NSO, or they don't have a 3DS.
That's a thing that Aonuma talks about a lot too, with what games they decide to remake. It's ones that they feel that they want to bring back to like the limelight and to like put a focus on so that people can play them. Purely speculative, but maybe with all the new people that have only played the Era of the Wilds and who haven't really delved into those classic Zelda titles, this is a great way for the newer fans to get exposed to what a more traditional linear Zelda looks like.
And
definitely.
that's exactly my point. And it's a great way to introduce it to them.
And especially because also, I mean, we don't know who's developing it yet, but if, let's say, it is in-house Nintendo as well, a lot of the developers won't have been there when they designed Ocarina of Time, so redoing that and having that new experience would be nice.
Ooh.
Obviously, we don't know who is developing it, but if it is in-house Nintendo, even just a little tiny sub-team, then yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh, Swag's got a really good theory about that.
Oh,
Yeah, so my theory, and I'm like medium confident about it, and it's hardly even a theory. It's much more wild speculation. But a while ago, it was rumored that Monolith Software, the company that's helped with like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and then makes the Xenoblade games.
I love Xenoblade.
Was
I'm
gonna be
British, I have to.
That they were going to be given the keys to make a Zelda game. And I thought that was very strange at the time because all of the rumors made it sound like they were making like a full-on Zelda game and not just a remaster. And I think that an Ocarina of Time remake would be the perfect opportunity to take a team like Monolith Soft, who specializes in like these large environments and animation, and give them the opportunity to remake this iconic game. And then if we want to get like super conspiracy theory about it, I don't know if you guys know C.com, but he is a diehard Xenoblade fan, and he was pointing out how the fingers in the trailer, Link's fingers, are rendered and animated in the same way that they do the characters for Xenoblade.
Oh no, really? Wow.
That's
Insane.
nice. Yeah.
Level detective work.
Wow.
Deep.
Like I said, wild speculation. I wouldn't be surprised if it is what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if I am wildly incorrect. But since I have the floor, a thought I do have, and this is again more wild speculation, is we've seen a lot of the time where these remakes and remasters lend to what the Zelda team is currently focused on, things that they're trying to test out with like engines, mechanics, things like that. They'll try out on like a remake or a remaster, and then they'll try and port it over to the new game. An easy example is Link's Awakening for the Switch into Echoes of Wisdom. They had this very similar engine, and then it ended up in their next mainline game. So I am curious to see if any of these elements that they're testing out in the Ocarina of Time remake, like the art style, or who knows what else they're going to put in, but if it's going to lend credence to what the next flagship title is going to be in the series.
I always like to imagine that the developers are just like, they realize that they're not doing so well in a certain area, and then they pivot and they try and remake something, and then they go, this worked better before, so we'll put it in the next one.
Right.
I like to think that's a thing.
That's fair. I actually don't think that's a bad theory about Monolith Soft. Their involvement with Nintendo runs really deep. Like, they're in the credits for a lot of first-party Nintendo games, like, that you wouldn't expect to see them. You're playing Splatoon, and you roll credits, and Monolith Soft is in there somehow. So they are in everything. But it would kind of echo, pun intended, the same sort of journey that Grezzo took, where they began with remaking Ocarina of Time, and then did some other, remakes for Zelda for Nintendo, and then went on to make their own Zelda game down the road. It would line up with what they've done in the past when working with other studios, I think. Yeah, otherwise, Tantalus, I think, is also a decent candidate. Although they worked on Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, this looks more ambitious than either of those did, but...
We haven't heard anything from them in a very long time either, or at least I haven't.
Yeah, I think...
It's been, what? Was it Skyward Sword? Was that the last game? I think so. I could be dead wrong.
I think so, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is, 5 years since that release now, almost?
I think they did great with both those games. My understanding with Twilight Princess is they actually originally went for more of a upgraded visual design before feeling like it didn't look right. It didn't look like Twilight Princess enough. And so then they kind of toned down how much they were improving the visuals, which is funny.
That's
because
so unfortunate.
Yeah, when the game released, everyone was like, this looks the same, which it only does if you're not actually looking at them side by side. But yeah, I think Monolith Soft probably a very good candidate. I'll have to go and look at the fingers thing though.
Monolith also, they've upscaled their teams a lot recently as well. I've noticed on Twitter.
Yeah, they hired like 300 people or something insane.
Yeah.
They're very large now.
They've been just hiring a lot over the past probably since Xenoblade 3 came out in 2022.
kind of circling back though, as far as how the faithfulness of the remake goes, I actually meant to mention another N64 remake that's coming out very soon, Star Fox. I think is super faithful, but I think what they are changing for Star Fox is sort of the things that I would like to see them do the same for Ocarina of Time, where the level design is largely identical, but the controls, obviously, character moments, the dialogue, just a lot of those sort of moments between characters get expanded on in a big way. Even the training mode, like the tutorial, if you guys have played the demo, is like packed with little character moments. And I think Ocarina of Time is such a wonderful cast of characters that go actually kind of underused in the game, despite how beloved they are. It would be great to see more bonding moments between Link and all these iconic characters. So
I would like to field a question though in regards to the like comparison to Star Fox. Like we've seen where they're kind of like fleshing out certain story aspects and kind of delving a little bit deeper into the story for Star Fox. Do we think that they are going to do something similar here with Ocarina of Time?
I kind of hope so. A lot of people don't agree with me on this. I think Ocarina of Time actually does a really good job of making Ganondorf's presence feel like very, like he's a constant looming threat. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he shows up, he swats you, and then he's gone, and then you fight him at the end. But like every issue that you face in Hyrule in the original Ocarina of Time is like a direct consequence of something Ganondorf's been up to, you know? Decadry dies because Ganondorf basically killed him, cursed him and killed him. You go over, the Gorons are like, Ganondorf messed up our food chain or supply, you know? So all of these things kind of line up. I think he's a great villain in that game, as he always is. If they were to deepen that even more, even just some incidental, I'm not necessarily saying I want to like fight him multiple times or anything like that, but just some more incidental moments with him as a villain would be really cool.
Kind of springboarding off of that, because you were mentioning a lot of the things that you end up doing in the game are a direct consequence of what Ganondorf went through. And I probably have to get going after this comment.
Oh, sure.
So hopefully this isn't too much of a grenade to just like throw in. But something that has always driven me absolutely crazy is you go into Zora's domain as an adult, it's frozen, and it's like, oh no, Ganondorf did a bad. And then you go and beat the water temple, and it's just still frozen after that. Nothing changed. I really hope that they change that in the remake. And this is just my opinion. I want to feel like I'm making a difference in the world as I'm going around completing these dungeons instead of just collecting medallions. And that is one of the ways that I would feel very rewarded, is if I can reinstate Zora's domain to its former glory.
No, I fully agree. That's one of those things, I think that was like a cut for time thing. I think the intent was that it would, and they never finalized that by the time the game shipped, but obviously they kind of worked that into Twilight Princess. And then we even see that actually in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like there's a regional crisis and then it gets resolved and the area changes physically. But yeah, I think that's a great example of actually some of the things that are like cut content that I wouldn't mind seeing come back as well. Like you brought up the medallions. I don't know if you guys remember the Giga Leaks a few years back, or 5 years back, however long it was. Oh god. But you know, back then we saw like things like the medallions were like equipable items that would work to like actually give you abilities and stuff. Yeah, so like things like that I think would be really cool to like reward you better for these things. You know, Swag, if you gotta go, if you want to say your goodbye and plug your channel one more time, please feel free.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. I've had a lot of fun hearing everyone's thoughts. I apologize for being maybe a little too cheeky about British people. That's my bad.
It's the right
That's
amount of
okay,
cheeky.
mate.
The right amount of cheeky.
But yeah, I'm Swagmaster. I make Zelda shorts that tend to upset a lot of people. So if you want to feel angry, you can go check out my channel.
Thanks so much for being here, man. I appreciate it. Even if this ran longer than you could stay for. So appreciate it, dude.
No, that's all right. Thanks for having me. Good to see all of you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
You brought up the Gorons earlier, and while we're talking about things that might be worth revisiting, I think I'd be totally okay if they offered a reason for why the Gorons couldn't just eat any of the rocks that were around them during their rock hunger crisis. I think that'd be totally worth revisiting.
Hey, H-Chat, do you ever eat vegetables?
Absolutely not. Gross,
Oh,
dude.
okay. Well, my next point was going to be, you want to go outside and eat some grass?
Oh, there's tiers of rocks. Well, they should add some dialogue to that, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just eating this regular old rock. We got the good rock, and I will starve for it.
I need that quality rock roast.
Gorons.
Just very quickly, I just want to just make completely clear, no flurry rush. Please, no flurry rush.
Or do like the Ganondorf fight in Tears of the Kingdom and give everybody Flurry Rush.
All flurry rush all the time.
And a giant health bar.
And you get a flurry rush, and you get a flurry rush. My next talking point I wanted to ask everybody, this is just going to be a really quick one, but how about that music, huh?
Oh man, I'm so excited just from the music aspect of it, because Ocarina of Time is arguably one of the best OSTs in the entire series. So the fact that we're going to get fully orchestrated new versions of all the music in this game has got me so excited.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. I had chills like the whole time. Like, it's crazy how just a few notes can get you like that. Like, I know some people thought it was corny or nostalgia bait, but if it was nostalgia bait, it worked. Consider me baited. I had goosebumps. It was awesome. And I can't wait to see what the soundtrack sounds like.
Oh yeah. So did the 3 notes of Saria's song like activate a neuron in your brain like immediately? Is that what you're
Yeah. I was like, Kokiri is canon. It's great.
I immediately fell to the floor crying.
Oh wow.
Hyperbole.
I just want
Only
to
slight.
Gerudo Valley, to be honest.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
There's so much iconic music just from Ocarina of Time alone, because you got to think about like Song of Storms, all of the Ocarina songs,
Forest Temple.
Hyrule Field,
Forest Temple.
Forest Temple. Like,
Oh.
there's so much that can be like, and you got to remember too, like on the N64, the limitations that they had just with their sound chips compared to where we're at now, it's going to be incredible. The like fully fleshed out versions of these songs that we're going to get.
I do think it'll be pretty hard to mess it up just because the compositions are so good.
I think that if there's one thing that I trust Nintendo with when it comes to Zelda above anything else is the music. So yeah, I really struggle to see how they mess it up, and I think that's going to be a highlight of the game.
Yeah, even in that trailer, like the last bit where, you know, the title screen comes up and it's actually like, it's just a small snippet of the Hyrule Field theme from Ocarina of Time, but it's just like magnificent. Yeah, I do kind of hope they have like a sound menu where you could toggle it though. I think that would be really cool to do like comparisons. So I think we're all aligned. Music, great. Going to be pretty hard to mess up. This came up a little bit earlier about Link's fingers, but we did see a brief glimpse of the Triforce being shown on Link's hand. And I had some people argue with me saying, well, it's actually only the outline, but that's only half true because the power and wisdom are outlined, but courage was filled in, as is the case in the original as well. Anyone have any thoughts about if there's implications that comes with, if it even means anything, if this means that they're changing all the lore and we should riot or something? Any other thoughts about that being shown, and if you know what you think that means?
I don't think it has any real implications of major changes to the story, just my opinion. We've seen that the Triforce can appear on Link's hand even when he doesn't physically encounter it, like in Skyward Sword or, I don't know, other games. So I don't think it really means anything, but if anything, I think it might just represent the Triforce sort of calling out to sort of the divine trio at the beginning of the game. But, you know, like I said, I can't imagine them diverging in a huge canonical split in this game, but who knows?
Skyward Sword was one example. Zelda 2 also had that in its backstory, where the whole thing that sets Link off on his quest in that game is that the Triforce appeared on his hand, and he's like, what the heck is this? And that kicks off the adventure. So that is true, that is an established piece of lore, that the Triforce can mark a destined wielder before they actually have it, so to speak.
Well, my thoughts on it are that the trailer happened. Me and Adam, we were watching the trailer, and then there was an explosion out the house, and then my stream cut off, and then we got back on stream. Circle back to that in a minute.
Yeah, I have so many questions. So,
I don't care about the Triforce anymore.
did you say explosion or?
Back in a second. And then me and Adam had a quick discussion on stream again, just being like, oh, what do we think? Blah, 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 blah. And then my girlfriend who had watched it with me, Dee, she turned to me and she went, look at this tweet. And it was like, oh, Triforce on his hand. I wonder if it means anything. And I literally looked at it and laughed. And I didn't say anything. And then I realized how stupid I was being, like 30 minutes after. And I was like, oh, it could mean something. But my gut reaction says, probably not. Explosion. Sorry, the explosion.
Please.
Don't worry. It was
We need the lore on this, actually, yes.
Did the Triforce cause
actually-
the explosion?
Yes, yeah, it was someone's wish. It was a commenter's wish. No, it was a power line, like way off in the distance, but it sounded close. Sorry,
That's
what
terrifying,
were people
dude.
gonna say?
What? So it's funny because when I saw you guys were streaming actually, and I went to click on, I clicked on it, like it showed live on my subscription feed.
Oh yeah.
And I clicked on it, and you can go back and watch my stream of it because I was still streaming when I did that. And then I was like, oh, I must have just missed them. They're not live alive anymore, right as I clicked on it. And so
Yeah, that would be why.
that would be why there was an explosion. Now I know. So that's crazy, dude.
It's really funny actually. Adam went in the live chat right after it happened and when all I heard was that something exploded. I hope they're okay.
like when you said explosion, I immediately thought of
I
like
hope
that
they're okay. It's so funny.
Green Goblin blowing in Aunt May's window in Spider-Man. Like
Yeah.
Ed is streaming
Actually that.
and just
Just me and my girlfriend winding our hair.
I'm glad everyone's safe though. Just
Yes,
disclaimer,
yeah.
but
That's so funny.
that's crazy, dude. That's
Sorry, I didn't mean to laud them. Yeah, what were you guys gonna say?
I'm in two camps. I think it could be a nothing burger, or it could be hinting at maybe not necessarily changes to the story, but maybe greater implications of them, and them like making a bigger emphasis on the Triforce this time around. I kind of go back and forth at this point because we have seen the Triforce just outlined on Link's hand in so many other instances. So this just could be them adapting to make the continuity more in line with the rest of the series.
I don't think that we've explained it for anyone who hasn't played Ocarina of Time or gone through it. The reason why I think most people or all of us are assuming that Link doesn't have the Triforce is because after you go to collect the Master Sword, you pull it up. That's what opens the seal to the Sacred Realm, where the Triforce actually is. Ganondorf goes to retrieve it, and he doesn't have the right balance of power, wisdom, and courage, and so it splits up at that point. That's a major plot point in the story, and so it wouldn't make sense for Link to, at the very beginning of the game, have the Triforce, because that means that they would just have to fundamentally rewrite the story or re-explain why the Triforce isn't in the Sacred Realm when it's supposed to be, or as we know it, having previously played this game. And I think that changing the story so that Link has the Triforce at the beginning of the game would be a very jarring thing and fundamentally change the story of the game. I think that was for show. Maybe they just put it there like, oh, this looks cool and we're going to capture it for the trailer. But I don't think it has any major game implications because what that means for the entire story.
We also haven't seen the Triforce in like a long time, like properly on Link's hand and everything. And I think it's just a nice way to be like, oh, look at that. It's the Triforce.
Well, he had it on his hand in Echoes of Wisdom, didn't he?
only after Null splits the Triforce the same way Ganondorf does in Ocarina of Time. Null attempts to claim the Triforce, same deal, doesn't have the balance of virtues in his spirit. It gets split, Zelda immediately gets hers, and you see the Triforce go through a portal to go into Link. So yeah, that's how I love the finale of that game. Holy cannoli. Also, spoilers for Echoes of Wisdom. Sorry to anyone who didn't play it. Oops.
This is the appropriate point to say the spoiler warning.
Oops. But yeah, no, that is same deal. Like that. So that particular part of Triforce lore is pretty consistent as far as like when it splits, when it stays intact. But that's kind of why I lean into the idea, sort of this camp of Link not having it yet, but like maybe he's marked by destiny to get it. But I agree that like if he already had it at the start of the game, that fundamentally changes the game's plot point too much. The whole thing, the reason he sets out to get the other spiritual stones after he talks with Zelda is she's like, hey, we gotta make sure Ganondorf doesn't get the Triforce. They kind of play into his hand, but if the Triforce was already divided and they already had it, why do we need to go get the spiritual stones and open the door of time and yada yada yada? So
that's the whole reason that Ganondorf is letting Link run around and get all the spiritual stones, is so that he can get to the Master Sword, which when he pulls opens up the door to the Sacred Realm, which Ganondorf goes into. So the whole beginning of the game doesn't make sense if there's not a Triforce for Ganondorf to chase.
Exactly. I've seen some people throw out this idea of it being like, spoilers, or where like the Final Fantasy VII remake was only kind of a remake, because then the story kind of ends up being like its own thing and also kind of a sequel. There is a part of me that was like, I actually wouldn't hate it if they did that, and rather than sort of overwriting the canon, because this is already a time travel heavy game where we know 3 canonical timeline splits branch off from. So like if there was some time travel shenanigans and things are a little different this time or something, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that.
We see the adult timeline ending.
You know, I have to wonder if they're like, hey, people don't like the Downfall timeline. What if we, or what if we make the Downfall timeline game?
The hero dies at the end, that's it.
Yeah, the game ends as soon as you die fighting Ganondorf.
I at least think that if you died in that battle, they should put a cutscene that shows something to allude to that, at least.
I think Zelda Master was talking about that in a recent video where it's just like, can we just have like a text blurb, like, or something on the game over screen?
Yeah.
And then you can go back to it. That way there's some acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Hidemaru Fujibayashi and Eiji Aonuma, like in the back of the Creating a Champion, have mentioned that they like to leave things ambiguous so that fans can theorize and speculate upon the games. So I think I'd be really surprised if they took this opportunity to like tie up a bunch of loose ends and answer a bunch of questions, because I feel like that would go against their general priorities when creating or revisiting older titles.
You party pooper.
Right.
No, but you're right.
Hey, we have to have
Because
stuff
of that
to talk
philosophy
about.
that this exists. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. Like, I don't think they'll actually do it.
No, everyone, keep up the facade. We're Zeldatubers. Trust me.
Yeah, no, 100% though. You're right, H-Chat. It is antithetical to their design philosophy when it comes to the lore.
They just really care about the YouTubers.
They care about us specifically.
Yes.
They care about the audience of the YouTubers, guys.
Yes.
Gosh.
Wait, what?
The audience.
No.
Just threw that in. Yeah. It's giving us something to talk about, and that's maybe the whole thing. It might not mean anything at all, and it's just woo.
Exactly. Listen, there was one time I was at E3 in 2019, and I was in line for the bathroom. Eiji Aonuma was coming out of the bathroom, and I locked eyes with him for a moment, and I thought, this is not the time to try to talk to him or say hi, but I knew in that moment that he cared about me specifically and all the Zeldatubers who make videos about Zelda. We connected on a deep spiritual level.
Just have one of those cliche love songs playing.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what you got out of him saying excuse me to get past you.
Oh, he didn't even say excuse me. He didn't say a word. He actually didn't even look
Said
at
it with
me.
his heart.
He was looking straight down at the floor, but
Shoved directly past you.
he actually tripped me and shoved me to the floor. No.
And then started waving emphatically at me.
And he said if you're a real Zelda fan, you would get out of his sight.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah. Go outside, touch some grass, kid.
Why is he so mean?
This is what you do for a living? Get a real job, kid.
We just started
This
a
is
rumor
why
that
he was
Alan was
involved in
really
Tears of the
mean.
Kingdom.
Okay. Quick talking point I wanted to go over there is voice acting. The trailer was obviously fully narrated, and we've seen voice acting become more popular in Zelda, but used sparingly in the last decade. Like, Breath of the Wild is not fully voice acted. It's mostly important moments. So I guess how much voice acting do you expect to see, and what amount of voice acting is the sweet spot in your opinion?
I go back and forth on this. I think it'd be really cool to add voice acting, but then also if there wasn't voice acting and it was more faithful to the original, like I do think there's a charm to just you're reading it and not listening to somebody give you the dialogue. But I do think that voice acting and having the characters talk during the cutscenes could add some depth to it. So like if it's there, I'm not going to be upset. If it's not there, I won't be upset either. But it would be cool if it was there. I think for major cutscenes, I'd be okay with it. It doesn't need to be for every cutscene, but like it would be cool at the end of the game when Ganondorf is playing the piano, he stands up and he has a really deep imposing voice, and you hear him make his declarations to Link and Zelda, and you hear his laugh, which please make it sound nothing like Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf laughing.
Yeah.
I think that could certainly add to some of the more serious moments in the game and make it more immersive.
Even stuff like Zelda peering through the window at Ganondorf as well. I think moments like that would really... I don't know if they'd really be better with voice acting, but I think they could be enhanced with voice acting as long as it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of like a nice to have for me. It's not something I need, but I think like the Breath of the Wild approach where it's the major cutscenes and then just sort of reaction sounds when you're talking to NPCs and that kind of thing. Like I think that's kind of a nice touch. Any more than that though, I think would be overkill. Like if we had to hear lines from every NPC, that would be insane. But I think something like the Wild Era would be nice.
I felt like it was a little jarring. Like I'm thinking of the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom when Pura's recounting the beginning of the game and it's all voice acted, and then it cuts to her and you're just reading the text. I feel like that was a little jarring, where I didn't like how it cut back to just text. So I don't know. Maybe I'm more in favor of more voice acting than not.
The thing is, Ocarina of Time was made with almost like longer cutscenes in mind. So like, you know, the Deku Tree, like when you're first going into the Deku Tree or out of the Deku Tree, there are pretty long like moments where voice acting could be pretty applicable. I think it would work quite nicely. I don't think there is many opportunities for the game to just like take you out of it and then just have you reading text.
If there's an NPC in this game that doesn't have voice acting, I'm going to be upset. I know that's not going to be the reality, and it is probably going to be more in line with like Tears of the Kingdom, but it might just be because I'm lazy and I don't want to read, but I want everybody to be voice acted so bad.
That's so funny. I can't stand it when every single NPC's voice, because I think I read faster than they're reading out loud, and I just want to skip ahead, and then you get half-read lines.
I have my wife is a big reader, and like she reads super fast, so anytime we're watching anything with like subtitles or anything like that, it's taking me 2 weeks to read a sentence, and she's already done. That's probably something along the lines of that. I just read very slowly, so maybe there's just some
Tyler,
illiteracy.
You just love
on
The
my
Witcher.
part.
You just love The Witcher, Tyler. That's why you want voice acting.
Listen, you give me that, that's all I need.
I do have to give another shout out here. There's a series by Major Link, A Hero's Purpose, who still captures raw emotion through text only. Like, I still think that there's a world where that can be executed and you still get the emotion that the scene is trying to convey. So I don't want to just poo-poo over the idea that there has to be voice acting to feel depth. I think that there's a way that it can be handled where it's still text only. So if you want to check that out, link in the description below, right, Cap?
I will remember to do that. Editing me later. Don't forget. I've really split feelings on this personally, because I think back to a good example. Skyrim is like fully voice acted, right? I know that's an old game now, but listen, I'm an old man, and
it's truly ancient. Really,
it's 15 years old. I'm dying.
In my day.
God, I don't like thinking about that.
But Skyrim's fully voice acted as well, and there's some really good voice acting in that game, including Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, as Parthenax the dragon, which is just insane range on that man. One thing that is a consequence of having full voice acting is that you have to pay voice actors, and voice actors should be paid. That's not a downside in and of itself, but companies often don't want to pay more than they have to. One of my favorite games of all time is actually Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, and the Elder Scrolls series, like the change in writing between Morrowind to Skyrim, where you have Morrowind has very, basically, it does have voice acting, but there's just generic hello there sort of lines, and then that's it, and then you talk to an NPC and it's just text. But the advantage to having text is that these characters talk, and they get very in-depth about topics, and like the dialogue system is, for the time, was very in-depth, and they could really flesh out things, whereas there's a certain brevity to all of the dialogue in Skyrim by comparison, because they're like, we got to get the same idea down in like 2 sentences, which can be a pro and a con, I guess, depending on what sort of dialogue you gravitate to, but it does mean that everything feels at times a little rushed instead of sort of them taking the time to flesh things out. On the flip side, though, you have a game like Red Dead 2 fully voice acted, and they did not shy away from having very in-depth, lengthy dialogue in that game, and it's wonderful, and the actors did such a good job with it. So like the thing is, I guess, is where I'm at is like, what do I think Nintendo would actually commit to doing, which is probably
they're not doing that.
They're not gonna go full Rockstar with it. Yeah, if they were to do it, I could see them doing a good job with it either way. But yeah, I do kind of expect it just to be sort of important moments. That is kind of the expectation I have. The narrator of the trailer, does anyone think that's a specific character, or do we think that's just a generic narrator?
I feel like it could be the Deku Tree or maybe Kaepora Gaebora, but I haven't been able to like really pinpoint which one I think it is more.
Okay, if it's those two, I think either Rauru or Kaepora Gaebora is more likely, unless the Deku Tree is talking about himself in third person, which actually could also work.
If it's the Deku Tree, I feel like it's the future Deku Tree, like the sprout all grown up, like in the future. talking about what happened back then. I don't know.
My thinking is like the Deku Tree starts the dialogue in the original, you know, like he's the first person talking. I don't know for sure if this teaser we saw is like maybe the opening moments of the game. I'm assuming probably not, but that's just where my thinking is with that. It's just maybe there's a correlation there.
I don't know if this is a dumb question, but isn't Rauru and Kaepora Gaebora the same?
Technically not confirmed, but it's very heavily implied.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. Well, because so the trailer or the teaser is very clearly past tense. Like, oh, there was a land called Hyrule. It's kind of treating it as if like, oh, this is a fairy tale, or I'm telling you about the events of something that happened a really long time ago. I don't love the phrasing of there was a land called Hyrule, implying that there is no longer a Hyrule. I don't know. Maybe this is in between Breath of the Wild and the rest of the timeline where Hyrule was all exploded. Right? I guess it would be Tears of the
It's Old Man
Tears of the
Nico
Kingdom.
in Spirit Tracks telling the story. No.
Right. So I am nervous about what that means, because if it is like an old man sitting around with a bunch of Hylian children, like telling him a story about the past, and then the game happens, and then it cuts back to the old man being like, oh, well, that was the story of the boy who lived. Like, I'm going to riot. I'm going to be really upset if that's how that plays out. But I guess if I had to take my stab at who the character is, it's not someone that we know.
Fair.
Interesting.
Tyler, you brought up like the Deku Trees sort of starts that dialogue off in the original game. What is interesting is that the dialogue in the trailer very closely mirrors the Deku Trees dialogue from the intro of Ocarina of Time, but it is phrased in both a third person, if it is him, or phrased as someone who isn't the Deku Tree talking, but also phrased in the past tense, like you said, H-Chat. And I think that's really interesting that it sort of like evokes that original intro, but instead of the Deku Tree being like, long have I lived in this forest, serving as the guardian of the blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, there was a forest and the Deku Tree was there, you know? So it's almost like...
Because that's how the Deku Tree approached it in Breath of the Wild, or Tears of... One of the two. I think it was Breath of the Wild, where he's like, oh, I have presided over Hyrule since time immemorial. So I don't know. I mean, it's a super minor thing to deviate from, but he's talked about that in the past.
For sure. Any other pipe dreams or crackpot theories or anything else that you guys want to throw into the mix before we wrap things up?
I swear to any deity that you worship, if they do not have King Zora weeping to the side for 30 seconds, I'm going to immediately return the game.
Do you know how long it takes for King Zora to move out of the way in Ocarina of Time?
I think it's 30 seconds.
It takes him a week. A week. A week.
One whole week.
A week.
Damn it.
Monday to Sunday.
That's
the remainder of this conversation, Shelby.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, in terms of other thoughts, it's hard to think of an Ocarina of Time remake without thinking of a Majora's Mask remake, which is obviously a whole separate can of worms, but like it comes to the back of the mind. Like, if they're going to do one, are they going to do the other? That would be really cool too, I think. Maybe we should just get through the first game first and then see what happens. I don't know.
I want to go so much further now. I want to go, please don't remake Wind Waker, but please do Twilight Princess after Majora's Mask. I want to keep going. Keep going down.
Do the whole series again.
There you go.
Run it back. No new games.
For the next 15 years.
By the time they get through it, they're going to have to remake Ocarina of Time again just to keep up.
See you again in 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
For the next.
We've seen all the Zelda games we're ever going to see. It's just going to be a cycle forever of remakes.
And we'll all be doing YouTube to talk about it.
Yes.
If it's somehow Grezzo that's making this remake, they must be so tired.
I saw someone suggest that in a comment. Like, they were just like, what if it's Grezzo? And I'm just like, no. And then they're like, well, they worked on the 3DS one. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute now.
Maybe. But I mean,
quick turnaround.
Echoes of Wisdom came out in, September 2024? So, yeah, that's a fast turnaround.
There's definitely no way, but...
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time with Echoes of Wisdom graphics, top down. Who says no?
I think that'd be fun, actually. I would be there for that.
I'd like it as like a separate mode.
Oh, that's a good point. So, like, obviously, if you've played Echoes of Wisdom, which I'm sure everyone in here has,
Great game.
Excellent game. If you haven't played it, you should, because you're doing yourself a disservice as a Zelda fan if you're not playing that game. There is so much Ocarina influence in Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah, true.
Do we think that maybe that was them, like, maybe kicking the gears? Not necessarily Grezzo, obviously, but like the Zelda team in general, like kicking out the idea that, hey, there's Ocarina elements out here in the ether that we're going to be messing with.
They do that stuff all the time. They put in little teases. You know what I mean? Like they put little something in each Zelda game. They often hint towards the next, or just like tease. Like Twilight Princess HD, they changed out a painting on the wall in a shop.
Yeah.
I think A Link Between Worlds, I might have my chain of events mixed up, but I think A Link Between Worlds kind of teased Majora's Mask 3D by having like
Ocarina of Time
Majora's
3D
Mask,
had a picture of Skyward Sword Link.
Yep, that's true too. Yeah, so just they kind of do little things like that. I'm gonna throw a random crackpot theory into the mix here, and you guys can tell me if it's stupid or great or somewhere in between. The Deku Tree seems to be redesigned if we're going just based on the tapestry here, and this is half a joke but half a theory. Okay, but the way he's redesigned with all of these vines and sort of like large sort of branchy sections and stuff.
Oh my god.
Deku Tree of Ocarina of Time is Calamo grown into this Deku Tree, which is why they didn't have him plant in Great Hyrule Forest to grow into the Breath of the Wild Deku Tree. It's so that Age of Imprisonment could tease this game by establishing a new starting point. And so the forest that grows around Calamo, which is south of Hyrule Field, is in fact Kokiri Forest. That's the crackpot theory. Okay, add this image that you just put in the chat. Is the Deku Tree judging me for saying this out loud?
The thing is, I think any theory is valid. As long as it has some amount of like a basis. I think any theory is fun. I love a theory. Love a fun theory. I don't like it's a bit far, but I don't like the theories that play it too safe.
Oh.
I don't like Calamo, but like...
Dude, I love Calamo. I will fight you.
Yeah,
I love him.
That's my
God,
boy.
I'm British, I'm getting probed, and I'm getting fought for not liking Calamo.
I think that we are overdue on Deku Tree lore.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of all over the place, and it's so fun to talk about. Like, okay, I think we've got a line between Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time, but then what is the Breath of the Wild one? And okay, so now Calamo's a different tree. He probably doesn't come to life. I think there's so much there, and the way that he bounces around. I do legitimately think that we need a game that is way more focused on the Deku Tree.
What if the narrator is Wind Waker Deku Tree telling the story? Past tense, there was a Kingdom of Hyrule. So at the end, it zooms out, and it's a bunch of Koroks sitting around as the Wind Waker Deku Tree is telling them.
And then it zooms out even further to the Breath of the Wild Deku Tree, which has just been planted.
This is like an episode of How I Met Your Mother, where a character's telling a story, and the character's telling a story to that character, and then it's actually Ted telling a story to his kids.
You think Ted's an unreliable narrator?
Oh, 100%. There are times where he admits it. He's like, I don't know if this is how it happened, kids, but and then it shows something wacky, like Marshall jumping 3 stories out of a window. So, dude, I've been rewatching that show, and it's nuts. But it's
my favorite.
It is.
I love it. I've watched it like 5 times.
My girlfriend made me watch it. It was so good.
It's wild to be like, so then, kids, I was sleeping with your Aunt Robin all summer, and it's like, what's going on? Why is he telling his kids this? No, great show though. Great show.
Ed Evelyn Mosby.
Any other stray thoughts or just things you want to put into the ethos?
Well, Daniel, I'd like to give you a slap bet.
Oh,
okay.
Wait, no, I actually don't want to. I get beat up.
Oh, come on now.
A slap from Daniel. It's like being slapped by Ganondorf.
I'm happy to get slapped.
But just me though.
Let's be real, we're gamers here. I could take a slap from you.
That's fair. I got very noodly arms.
He's a fan of The Witcher. You have to be scared of them.
Oh god, don't get me started. I just want every Zelda game to encompass what The Witcher 3 did. So if you can give me that, it'll literally be the game of my dreams.
Bubble bath included, or
listen, if Link wants to get in the tub, I'm not gonna stop him, man. So this is something I was thinking about. Poe Collector. Do we think that maybe gets expanded a little?
Ooh.
Yeah, it gets expanded that there's now 100 big Poes. You still only have 4 bottles.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, if they're expanding the world, they got to fill it with something.
And you get Poe as a reward.
They would.
It's fire.
Actually.
Poe is fire.
It's a fire idea.
Mysterious Will-O-Wisp.
Oh, no.
This one smells.
This one smell.
I really hope that they keep it where you can drink a Poe. I think that's just one of those weird, quirky things that they better not remove from this game. I want to drink a Poe.
In fact, yeah, that's a really good point. I just don't want them to get rid of the quirk. There's a big risk in trying to make it too serious, because Ocarina of Time can be a serious game, but I think you need to keep the quirks of Ocarina of Time. It's like Resident Evil 4, that one. It's a really quirky game, but it's also quite serious when it needs to be, and they remade it, and it was like the best of both worlds. I want something like that.
There's so much charm in Ocarina. I feel like it translates very well on the N64 and on the 3DS. I would assume that's where a lot of people's hesitation with this art style maybe arrives from. Is the soul of Ocarina of Time going to get lost with a more realistic art style? I personally think they can pull it off, but we'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone feels that way, they can always go back.
It's funny is because in my last video where I talked about my feelings on the direct and on that reveal, one of the things I said was, if I end up not liking this remake, like, I will just continue playing the original version happily. Like, no one's going to take that away from us, so like there's almost like less to really fear in a way. My favorite genre of comment to get on YouTube is clearly didn't watch the video, and then people comment like saying that verbatim to me, and I'm like, yeah, I said that. But
they should automatically timestamp the comments regardless, like they should just do that so you know.
Right. They should, yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Oh boy.
Will a picture of Mario reside in the castle still?
Once again, it better.
And will that be updated in the new art style?
Yes, but is the L real?
I literally just got a TikTok before we started and it was talking about that. That is so funny.
I live for that laugh. Oh, it's so funny.
It is funny though, actually, because there's so many urban legends around Ocarina of Time. Like, I have this distinct memory, which I might be misremembering, full disclosure, but I have this memory of being at a summer camp as a kid and overhearing / eavesdropping on this conversation between two other kids. Actually, it was one other kid and my brother was the other kid. But I was eavesdropping on this conversation my brother was having with some kid, and this kid was recounting the way to like get like the golden sword from A Link to the Past in Ocarina of Time to like upgrade the Master Sword, and it involved these like super convoluted steps that are of course not in the game. It's not real, but it was like going back to the Shadow Temple to put a Bongo's remains in an empty bottle, and just like all of these convoluted steps. And it's like, there's something kind of charming about those playground discussions. And nowadays everything gets data mined. And so
there's a tutorial 3 days before the game is up.
Do you guys remember when Tears of the Kingdom was coming out and the depths was supposed to be like this big surprise, and then the game leaked 2 weeks before it came out, and it was like, oh.
I am happy to report that I closed my eyes and ears and did not get the depths spoiled.
Nice.
So when
I didn't get them spoiled either.
Same.
Yeah. So when I was doing that camera in the depths quest, like, I was like, whoa, this whole
cool.
play, it actually was nuts.
I mean, I do wish that the depths wasn't as kind of formulated as it is, but a different discussion, different time.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've had that discussion actually, Ed.
Yes,
you and me personally.
Yeah.
That covers everything I had on the agenda personally. We've been going for 2 hours, so I don't want to keep you guys, I don't want to take up your whole evening. So we'll just go and do our sort of outros, plug your channels, tell me something exciting or a video of yours that you're proud of or something that you want people to go watch, and we'll sign off. And I'll just go in the same order that we did the intros. So starting with H-Chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a really great discussion. I make daily shorts for the most part, so if you ever want to watch good content, just go into your YouTube search bar and type Swagmaster.
I see how it is. Okay, I will just shout you out here that your output is prolific. I'm not even like a big shorts guy, but I always watch, I think, yours and Swags and like Night Potatoes videos, but that's about the extent of my shorts watching. But daily content is insane.
That's crazy.
You are next level. So
it is so much easier than long form content. I can make a short in like an hour, depending on what I'm talking about. I've tried making a couple, it's been a couple years since I've put out long form content. I just have so much respect for long form creators because it is a grind to put a complete package together. So I have, the respect is mutual.
Thanks, man. Look at us. Thanks, man. Excellent. And thank you for being here as well. Super appreciate that you could come on. KT.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun breaking this trailer down with you all. I'm so excited to see hopefully more than just a few seconds of footage in the very near future, and then we can break that down as well. As far as my recent projects go, I did a theory about what we learned from the Gerudo and Age of Imprisonment, so there's that. And I'm sure I'll just be, breathlessly following any Ocarina of Time news that comes out, so feel free to tune in for that. And that's about it for me.
When are you uploading anything? But also,
Don't even. For anyone who doesn't know me, I used to do weekly content. I didn't upload for a year before the Ocarina of Time news. Hi. I'm Triforce Strands, speculation content, all that stuff. Retrospectives more recently. Speaking of, if you want to find a video of mine that I'm most proud of, Twilight Princess retrospective, which came out almost a year ago. And ever since then, I've mostly been working on a big Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Imprisonment, and Age of Calamity, like remembering the Wild era type of video, which is going to have a few content creators in it as well. So that should be coming out at the end of June, maybe start of next month. So maybe start of July. But it should be a really good video. I really hope, otherwise I wasted a year.
I'm sure it'll be great, dude. I have no doubt. Excellent. And thank you again as well. And Tyler, did you know that there is another channel called Tyler Townsend Travel, which is not our Tyler Townsend, but an imposter?
You'd be surprised how common my name is. It's kind of alarming. Every so often, I will have someone just randomly follow me or comment, and you're like, "We have the same name, so I thought I'd follow you." And I'm like, "All right, cool. Do you like Zelda?" He's like, "Never played it." I'm like, "Okay, I don't think you're gonna get much from following me, but I'm glad you're here." There's some not so good people out there with my name as well, which makes it also very awkward. So if you're Googling Tyler Townsend, just put Zelda behind it, and please just do me a favor.
We got the good one.
Wholesome, I promise.
We got the good one here.
Just find the reaction where he cries. One of them.
I was gonna say there's many. Thank you guys for having me. I've loved partaking in the conversation. This was so much fun. As Trends was alluding to there, if you've seen anything from me, it's probably a reaction of me crying to a Zelda trailer. So there's plenty of those on my channel, but I also do cover a lot of other stuff, especially when we have announcements of new Zelda games. The lead up, I'm usually covering pretty extensively. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me.
Once again, a huge special thanks to my lovely panelists for joining this discussion. Links are down below in the description for each of their channels. Special thanks also goes out to my patrons and channel members who make all of this possible. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye,
Subscribe
gamers.
to Ken Bergerson.
Bye.